All right, good evening, everybody. Glad to have you. We're at class 8 of our foundation series. This is basically how to become a referral agent. It's the first step of the business where you're going to learn, you're going to split cases, you're going to get on the job training. And so you need to know the fundamentals. This is about creating activity. So before we get into producing agent, which is the nitty-gritty of what we do in helping families, the first aspect is you got to generate income. You got to have people coming through to see what we do in order to be successful. Why? Because you can learn all of the financial strategies, all of the different products that we offer as solutions to our prospects and clients. But what if you have nobody coming through because you haven't learned and mastered the fundamentals? So these 8 classes have been put together so that you can learn exactly what you need to be successful here. From knowing who we are to understanding the system to getting your mind right to now the final stage, which is closing and getting people to come. At the end of the day, this is what it this is where the rubber hits the road is you got to have people come through and see your presentations in order to make a decision. And so today we're talking about the invitation. But here's the good thing. If you've done the work and all the things we've talked about in the last 7 classes, you've done the work, this part becomes very easy. But guess what? It often is the thing that holds people back because this is where you're going to get a yes or a no. Now, we've dealt with this in our previous training. We've got to deal with approval addiction, right? We've got to deal with mental toughness, right? We got to get our mind right. But this is where people hesitate because they're going to get a yes or a no. So this is where the rubber hits the road, and this is the most important. I mean, everything is the most important part in the fundamentals, but if you don't do this part, if you don't make an invite, then people cannot see how you could potentially change their life and make an impact. So here we go. Let's get into this. Okay. And I'm going to challenge you at the end to really get into this and really flood your pipeline with people. So let me share my screen. And then let's go to work. All right, class 8, foundations, the invitation. So let's talk a little bit about the system. If you remember, this all starts with the prospect list. You will bring your prospect list. You've got to do 100 name lists or more. You don't just have to stop at 100. You're going to do much more. And we're going to filter that prospect list and we're going to make them into our top 10. We're going to put the people that are macho bad. You watch the videos, you know what that means. And we're going to just put all of our list into different buckets and categories. And then we're going to share a story when we're ready. That's the next slide. When we're ready. And then we're going to invite, which is where we're at right now. We're at the invitation. So we've talked about approaching contact. We talked about this, share the story. And then now we're going to invite. So after you share your story, now you're going to step into the invite. Okay. Now, remember what we said from approach and contact. So this is kind of a refresher. Remember, we want to target the immediate market when we're contacting people. We want to make strangers into friends. We don't want to do it too quickly. So if they are not our immediate market, we get their name and number, we build trust and credibility, right? If they're in our immediate market, yes, and the prospect trusts you, then we can move on. But if they don't trust you yet, meaning you haven't built enough credibility, maybe you've lost touch with that person, you haven't spoken to that person in a while, whatever the reason is, they don't trust you, you're just, yeah, Ty, I know from whenever. Then we have to build a little bit of trust and credibility. You'll go back to approach and contact of how you do that. I'm not going to go through that. Once you feel like the prospect trusts you, whether it's immediate market or the cold market, now we can go into sharing our story, providing a little bit of value through our story of what we do so they can resonate. And then we go into the invitation. So this is the work that needs to be done prior to. Then the invite becomes real simple once you do that. Everyone copy? All right, so let's get into the invite now. You've done your story. You've shared a little bit about your 2 minute story, how you started. I'm not going through the aspect of the story. You've been in that training, and now the invite. Okay, so how do you start the invite? The invite must start with some disturbing questions. You want to disturb the person. Why? Because from our last session, we talked about mental toughness is most people are struggling with fear or faith. And their subconscious has recorded all sorts of stories in their mind. And so they're coasting with life, right? And so what you got to do is bring a inspiring, disturbing question that jolts them out of their normal kind of system that they have been running, right? This is the trying to think of the word on my screen. Um, um, Hypnotic. This is where people have been getting in a routine. They've been in just routine all the time. And so these questions are made to disturb them out of that situation. So you're going to disturb them with a question. You're going to entice them with solutions. This is what we do as the answer. And then you're going to take it away and close with an appointment. And I'm going to show you how to do each one of these steps in order to get your invite. Okay. So you're going to master this. So here are a few questions that you can use in order to inspire and disturb. Ready? Here we go. All right. So let's say you've been communicating with the person and you know the person is having an issue with income, or maybe they don't like their career, or they don't like their job or their boss, and you've been talking with them. So now based upon your conversation and warming them up. These first three are perfect for anybody who is in that situation. So you're going to share your story, and then you say something like this. Number one, so you know, Matt, you know, do you own your business or do you serve at somebody else's pleasure? That's a tough question to ask, right? And obviously you've been talking with that person. So that person's going to say no. So you're serving at somebody else's pleasure. Does your career, your current career, your job that you've been working at, does it have the horsepower to take you to your dreams? No, no, it doesn't. Does the income that you make right now, is it able to sustain the lifestyle that you desire? You see, when you do those questions, bam, and obviously this is for somebody that you know they don't like their job, they don't like where they're at, they probably want to make more money, and they're thinking about all that stuff. Bam, this is what you're going to bring to them. Okay. And you're gonna have them answer, and they're gonna be like, no, man, I don't like where I'm at. Like I hate my job, or that would be what their response is. Then you're gonna move into the enticing solution, which is what our answer is to that. Okay. I'm gonna come back to these questions in a second, but um, I want you to see this, right? This is the answer, what we do. So, Matt, here's the deal. This is what we do. We help people on the 5 steps of building wealth. And that's earning money, saving money, growing money, we protect money, and we transfer money. Okay. And then you closing question. Which one of these would you say you need the most help with? And they're obviously going to say, man, like money. Yeah, I'd love to earn more money. I'd love to do that. That's for the individual that is there at like money's a big issue, or their job is a big issue. So that's how you do it. So that's how number one and number two work together. You disturbing question, then you tell them what we do. Disturbing question, then you tell them what we do. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. Let's say the person doesn't um, maybe is liking their job, or you don't have a really clear indication on if they really want maybe our business opportunity to make more money. Okay, then we're going to focus on the client side to it, right? So here are some questions that you can disturb them with. You can ask them. So let's say you do your story, you've told them how you're going to impact people's lives now because you're here. And so let me ask you a question, man. Are you financially where you thought you would be right now? Great question. So now they're going to say, no, man, like really, I thought I would be a little bit further ahead of the game. Okay. Okay, let me ask you a question. If you save the next 5 years, you save the next 5 years the same amount that you did the last 5 years, would you be okay with that? No, I wouldn't. I would want my money to grow more. Okay. Is your retirement totally set? Somebody who's maybe a little bit more advanced, somebody that has kids, you might ask, is your children's education plan in place? Is that all set? So these are some disturbing questions on the client side that you can ask. And now like, man, no, no, not at all, not at all. Okay, now you're going to go back to what we do. Okay, you say, well, Matt, here's what we do. We help people on the 5 steps of building wealth. We help people earn money, save money, grow money, protect money, and then transfer money. Closing question. Which one of these would you say you need the most help with? So now they're gonna like, oh man, I think maybe saving money, growing money, I think a little bit of that. Perfect. Now you close and you're gonna take it away a little bit, right? And then you're gonna close. Okay. All right. So here's the deal, Matt, right? As you're gonna get ready to close. Now look at this. If they're on the earning side, which means that they want to earn more money, this is how you're going to close them. You're going to say, if I could help you make an extra 1,000 to 2,000 per month part time, is there any reason why we couldn't, why you wouldn't give it serious consideration? So that's on the earning side. That's where their mind is kind of headed. If it's on the solution side, the product side, then you would say, if we could show you options that can solve your problems, your financial problems, do you see any reason why you would not give this serious consideration? Okay, because what you want to do right now is you want to decipher, is this person going to be serious with you or not? This is what you want to do. You want to call them into being, serious. So you're kind of like saying like if this person doesn't say no to serious taking, then you're take it away. You said, okay, well, like maybe this is not for you. You'll take it away. So you're challenging right now to see how serious they would be. Yeah, I'd like to learn a little bit more. Okay, that's what you want. You want them to say, yeah, like this bodes well. I should give this some serious thought. How do I do that? Okay, so once you have disturbed them with the question, you've told them now what we do. Then the next step is if they are excited about the earning potential. Hey, if I could help you make an extra 1 to 2,000 per month part time, is there any reason why you would not give this serious consideration? Right? I just realized a typo that should say on the solutions, if I, not we, if I can show you options that solve those financial problems, do you see any reason why you would not give this serious consideration? That's on the solution side. Okay. So now you got them. Now they're going to say yes or no. They're going to say, yeah, I should. Then, based upon the work that you previously done, you should have lined this up successfully and done that. Now we're going to close. So we're going to close on a one-on-one or our BPM guest. So a one-on-one appointment or BMP. BMP stands for bring the meeting to the people. So this is a one-on-one. This is ideal for those who are more introverted or quiet, and for those who may be a little bit higher identity individuals. So why this is the case? So introverted people, they don't necessarily like to be in a big crowds and stuff like that. So one-on-one would be better for them. So this is why you're setting up these appointments with some understanding of who's in front of you. Higher identity people, it's probably best to do them one-on-one to give them the personal focus attention that they need because it's a bigger client. So they would be better to do one-on-one. Anybody who's a professional or higher identity, you want to do, one-on-ones with these people. Now, here's how you book it. So you've just, let's go back. You've talked about them. You said, if I could show you options that solve your financial problems, do you see any reason why you wouldn't give this serious consideration? And the person says, no, no, like I would, like I would love to learn a little bit more. Okay, great. So now you're on this person's a one-on-one. You've already thought that in your mind. So you like right away you go into, so what time are you usually free? Weekends or weekdays? Weekdays or weekends. So you're going to use what we call an alternative choice close. You're going to give them two choices, both that you're okay with, not open, not when are you free. That's terrible because now people are gonna, oh, I don't know, can I get back to you? Da, 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 da. People's minds don't work like that. So when are you usually free? Weekdays or weekends? You pause and you wait. If they say weekends, you say Saturday or Sunday. Which one is better? Let's say they say Sunday. You skip down to here. You'll say, okay, afternoon or evening. You say evening. You say, okay, great, 6 to 8. If they said afternoon, you say 2 p.m. or 4 p.m. They say 2 p.m. Done. We've got it set up. Okay. Now, if they say weekdays, you're going to say beginning of the week or end of the week. Which one's better? Let's say they say end of the week. You say, okay, great. Thursday or Friday. Which one is better? And they say Friday. Okay, afternoon or evening? Evening. Okay, 6 or 8. Which one is better? Perfect. We got you Friday at 8 p.m. You see how you're going to do that? If they said beginning of the week, you'll say, okay, is Monday or Tuesday better? Probably a Monday. Okay, afternoon or evening? Evening would be better after I come to work. Okay, great. 6 or 8. Which one works better? Okay, and that's how you lock them down. No, let's say somebody at this close here says, man, I don't have my schedule. That's usually what you're going to get. Because remember, we've closed a lot of objections of do they need this, why they should do this. All those objections we've kind of covered prior to. So what here, most people will say, I gotta maybe contact my wife or husband and find a better time, or I don't know my schedule. Can I get back to you? So this is what you're going to say here. If somebody says that to you, you say, okay, man, I'm booking my time right now, and I know I'm going to get booked up. I want to make sure that I hold a spot for you. So let's book a time, and then if it so happens that it doesn't fit after you check your schedule or check your wife or check your husband, then we can come back and you can change it and we can find another time. But I want to make sure I book at least a time for you here and secure a time. Does that make sense? That's exactly what you're going to say. When we come to this, we close. We're not chasing them again. We want to make sure that we close now. We get their commitment. That's what closing is. Closing is we get their commitment. So you're going to make sure you get your commitment. Now, if they're coming to a BPM, this is somebody who's much more extroverted, likes groups, likes people, likes to be around people. Groups of people will give them energy. Your top 10, you want them to come to an event that's a catalytic event. There's more than one people, there's great energy. Top 10 is a perfect people to bring to a BPM. Okay, so you're going to make sure you quantify who you're dealing with and then decide which strategy is going to be best, whether it's being a one-on-one or a BPM. Now, here's how you close on that. So let's say you've done your story, Then you've given them an inspirational question. You said, are you, do you think that where you think you would be, where you financially, where you thought you would be right at this point in time? And they say no. You're like, okay, let me tell you a little bit about what we do. We help people in these 5 ways of wealth building. We help people, and you line it down, and then you ask your question to them, right? You're going to kind of take it away and getting them to understand whether they're serious or not. And then now they said yes. You're like, okay, great. So what time works better to get you to our corporate overview? This Tuesday evening or Saturday morning? Okay. And so you're going to get them to choose which one. Is it Tuesday evening works better? 7 p.m. Eastern is when we start. Saturday morning, 10:30 Eastern in the morning. And so you get them to commit. Once you get them to commit to either or, then you got to prepare your guests. So, can I please get some information for you to register you? You register them. Don't send them the link. You register them. You get their information, their name, their phone number, their email address, all that stuff, right? And you let them know that you're going to get an email with a Zoom link to join the webinar, or an address where the meeting will be held. Let them know it is a professional environment. Please dress accordingly. Okay, a nice shirt or a blouse, especially if it's going to be in person. And make sure you thank them. I look forward to seeing you then. Okay. Now, the last thing that you're going to do is this. For most of you that are watching this, you are referral agents at the beginning, or you are learning the business. So you're going to be, leveraging a field trainer. So you want to let them know this. So you want to prepare your guest. Hey, I will have one of my most knowledgeable trainers on the call to help me out as well. They have many years of experience in the industry and help many clients just like you. I'm grateful to get, it should say there, sorry for that typo, their time, as they are very busy in the business. That just sets the tone a little bit. They're very busy. Don't waste our time. Sets the tone. Very grateful to have their time, and then they're good to go. Okay, perfect, great. And then so the next step. So now let me just go through the psychology of this before I go to the last step and I close. Why is this important that you leverage at the beginning of your career? Or you're a referral agent, obviously you're leveraging somebody else. But the reason being is this: when you bring your prospect, you have their trust and credibility because they trust you. You've been working on that, so you have their trust and credibility. That means you have their currency. You need an expert to come in and speak to their situation because there's a prospect, you have the expert, trust and credibility. I always ask people this: would you rather wait and learn everything before you make money, or would you leverage an expert to make money while you are learning? So, this is being paid for on the job training. This is what we call field training when you're learning to become independent. Obviously, if you are a referral agent, you're going to stay leveraging the whole time because you're basically giving people, here's the contact, here's the person, I'm going to connect you, and then that person's going to run with it, close cases for you, and you guys split the commissions. Would you rather have 100% of nothing or 50% of something? Right? So this is the psychology of why you want to leverage. Now, watch this. You can't be both trust and credibility and the expert, because that's not the way people are going to see you, especially when you start the business and you're just getting into it. They don't see you as the expert. They don't see you as years of experience. They see you as trust and credibility because you've been working on that. So you have a problem if you're trying to do it by yourself and not leveraging people. The purpose of leveraging your top 100 list is your training so you can get excellent. This is for those who are going to move on to the producing agent series. But if you are just a referral agent, then yeah, the purpose of leveraging is you're leveraging somebody to build your business for you. And you're paying them 50%, and they're going to do all the work, and you're going to sit back and say, thank you for all the money, and I don't have to do anything. That's called passive income. Now, people register you as who they know you are prior to. This is important. This is comes together with the both. You can't be trust and an expert, especially when you're just coming into the industry. They don't know you that. They know you as we go out and hang out. We know you. We went to high school together. I know you at the job or whatever. So it's harder to close these people because they just don't physically see you as the expert. Now, when you leverage, you're going to learn the business. You're going to learn the business with an expert right by your side. So that's why it's important. You're going to learn the no's. And last, you're going to learn how to be mentally tough. And that's the most important part. We talked about that in class 7 because you've got to learn how to become mentally tough if you're going to actually win in this business, right? So you're going to learn how to become mentally tough with a trainer and expert right beside you. Okay. So that's the psychology. So now, if I'm going to leverage my trainer, here's the text that I want you to. Once you say, hey, I'm going to have one of my most experienced people on the call, and they're going to help us. I like to connect you guys prior to, so that they can build a little bit of rapport. So here's the text. 3-way text you send, just a little introduction, so there's some understanding. So, hello, Matt. Let me introduce you to my mentor, Ty Jackson, who is very passionate about empowering individuals, families, and the community with financial literacy. He or she is currently mentoring me to do the same. My friend, Chris, is interested in learning more about how to make more money or learning about, he said, growing money. So I'll let you both introduce yourself. And now there's a little bit of camaraderie that is built before the presentation. And that's important. That creates rapport, and that trainer will be able to leverage that as you move forward. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. All right. So there you go. We've now got to the end. This is now where the rubber hits the road, everybody. This is what we have to do en masse. We need a lot of people seeing what we do in order to become successful. Okay, now, as we wrap up, this is the shortest class because now it's just about practice and execute. Practice and execute. You rewind this tape, practice, execute, practice, execute. Okay? What should I be shooting for? What are the numbers that I should be shooting for? I want to make this very clear that you should be shooting for 5 contacts a day, about 30 for the week. Now, notice I say contacts, I didn't say invites. That's the approach and contact. You want 5 contacts. Some of those people you need to warm up. So it's just warming up. Hey, how you doing? Just checking in. You're good. Da da da. How's the family? And then you're gonna start that process of building trust. Some people you might be having trust already, and so you can now go to the next step, which is your story and then the invite. But you need to do 5 contacts every single day. And if you do that, it should lend you to your business beginning to build. In the next session, as a producing agent, I'm going to talk about the standards that you should be setting for yourself. The standards that you be setting for yourself. But that's in the next session. I'm not going to do that now. That's the next session. But this here, if you want a business that's successful, you need to be doing 5 contacts a day, 5 connect contacts. That doesn't mean invites, just 5 connects where you're connecting with people. Say, how you doing? Hey, touching base. And then you record. You make sure you track these people because you're going to come back to them in a couple of weeks or a week or so. You have another great conversation and you're building rapport, building trust, building credibility until you're ready to do your story and then invite them. Those that you're ready to invite, then you put them in the story and then you invite them, and then bam, you've got some people coming to see your presentation. Okay? Can you start this? We've been training for these last 8 sessions. Now it's time to do the work. Because if you don't do the work, there's nothing at the end of this rainbow. Watch this. If you know marketing, then you will know lots of money in your business. But no marketing and no money. It's very simple. This first 8 classes were about activity generation, creating lots of activity so your business flows. You should have a prospect list. It's time to move. It's time to contact. It's time to get in the game. Dominate. Can you do it? If you can, let's go and work. Let's go and make this happen. Let's go change their lives and let's go change our lives.